Uncensored. Let's be real, 9 times out of 10, if you're checking email, you're using Gmail just like everybody on the planet. And that's why this story, has people talking tonight. A new report says Google may be using certain Gmail data to train its AI, and many users say they didn't realize they opted in. We're talking personal emails, attachments, private conversations. This is raising big questions about privacy in the age of AI. So, what does this mean for you and I? And what should you be doing and checking right now? Joining us to talk about it, our tech expert, Patrick Jones. Glad to have you here. Should we be surprised in this day and age? It's not like we're going to ever read the agreement when we sign up for anything.
At all. So yes, a long time ago, meaning back in Q4 of 2025, in fact, October timeframe, there was this long consent form that was sent out, right? Of course, you're not going to read it because it's like 15 pages.
Right.
However, in that consent form, what they did is they slipped in the smart feature, okay? And what the smart feature
and that sounds helpful.
It sounds
on the
helpful.
surface.
In fact, it is helpful because a lot of you all are utilizing Gemini, which is the AI smart feature that it's your personal assistant, right? You can use it to do whatever it is that you want it to do. However, in that consent form, you have now given Google Gmail the ability to scan every web or every email, okay? Every document within those emails, every chat as well, okay? So if you don't want Google Gmail to have access to that level of detail, then you need to opt out.
Welcome to the video, everyone. So this is a reaction here. I seen this clip and I said, let me go ahead and do a vid reacting to this news here. So, user privacy, Google, one of the, main companies that are definitely, utilizing AI. Of course, you just heard with Gemini. And what you have to understand is, anytime you get those privacy notices or user agreements, within those user agreements, a lot of times there's going to be language in there that opts you into allowing them to use your information for research purposes and things like that. And, as he was saying, a lot of people, majority of the people, high percentage, are not going to read through that whole thing because a lot of times it's a lot of pages and people are just not going to take the time to sit there and read it. But you opt into the smart feature, and this smart feature is of course using your information to help train their AI. And so you opt into it. They use your data, they scan all your chats and your emails, and that's the information that they're going to use to train Gemini. And of course, you can opt out by going into the settings, or you're definitely Googling how to opt out of this type of stuff. But it just goes to show you, like those agreements are like contracts, and you never want to sign anything or agree to anything without knowing what you're agreeing to. And again, I know it could be hard to sit there and go through it, but if you opt into anything, you have to know there's going to be something in there that's going to be very questionable. And this is one of those things. Could I see a lawsuit coming of this? Maybe. Because of course the language is not going to be right in your face. It's, you have to go down like several pages before you actually get to that, and it may just be a small few sentences or a paragraph or so about it, but it's going to be tucked into these user agreements again that we just don't even look at. We kind of, even if you have to scroll, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom just so you can get to the option to agree and keep it moving. But you have to understand that a lot of these companies, they need your information to train their AI models, and they're going to put it in the user agreements. And if you opt in, your personal information is going to be used for training. And they need the information, really. They need the data to use it. And again, this type of stuff, it kind of it kind of brings into question like the trust that you put into these companies and things like that. They provide you services like email and chat and stuff like that, and personal assistant or whatnot. And you know you have to know that they're always looking to data collect and to use that data to advance their technology. So, I just wanted to do like a quick video on this. Of course, in the rest of the video, he's basically explaining steps you can take to kind of opt out by going into your settings, but just other components to it. So I do suggest also Googling how to opt out of this feature and, following those steps and making sure that, if you don't want to participate in this, that you opt out. But yeah, just definitely know that, whether they provide a free service or whether it's a paid service, a lot of times in those agreements, if you actually take time to look through it, there's going to be a section that's going to detail how they will use your information as far as training their new technology and training their AI and things like that to advance it and make it more smarter and supposedly user friendly, but a lot of it is definitely invasion of your privacy. So just be aware. We just do videos to kind of make people aware of certain things or what's going on. So a large section of people who just don't know this type of information. So just try to make videos that I feel like will be useful for the everyday person who doesn't really pay attention too much to this type of stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.